The Minnesota Vikings have completed their observation phase at the Reese's Senior Bowl, one of the most important events on the NFL calendar for evaluating talent ahead of the draft. This scouting period is essential in helping the team determine which players could be strong additions to the roster. The Vikings enter the 2024 draft with several urgent needs, primarily in the secondary and the trenches. The defense could lose up to 5 players from the secondary, creating a significant hole in the roster. Additionally, the defensive line needs reinforcements to improve its performance against the run and generate more pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Uncertainty about which positions the Vikings will prioritize in the draft has led to a wide range of analyst projections. Some believe the team will target an elite cornerback to replace the impending losses in the secondary. Others think strengthening the defensive line will be the top priority, given the importance of defensive pressure in the team's scheme. There are also those who argue that the Vikings should focus on the offensive line to provide better protection for the quarterback. Another possibility raised by analysts is the pursuit of a new quarterback, depending on Kirk Cousins' future. If Cousins does not return to the team, the Vikings could be aggressive in their search for a quarterback in the draft. The performance of prospects at the Senior Bowl helped solidify some of these discussions and clarify which players might fit into the team's plans. Several cornerbacks stood out during practices and the game, which could influence the Vikings' decision. The defensive line also had standouts who could be targets for the team in the early rounds of the draft. The team's indecision about its priorities stems from the fact that free agency has not yet taken place. Depending on their acquisitions, the Vikings may address some of their needs before the draft, altering their approach. If they secure experienced reinforcements in the secondary, the focus may shift to the defensive line or a quarterback. Otherwise, they may need to invest heavily in defensive backs right from the first round. Another factor that could impact the draft strategy is the team's draft capital, including potential trades. GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah might consider trading up in the draft if he identifies a player essential to the scheme. On the other hand, if the team decides to accumulate more picks, they could trade down to secure more talent. This uncertainty makes the 2024 draft one of the most unpredictable for the Vikings in recent years. The team must make strategic decisions to maximize the available talent and fill roster gaps. If Cousins stays, the draft could focus on strengthening the defense and protecting the quarterback. If he leaves, the search for a new leader for the offense could become the #1 priority. Regardless of the path taken, the performance of prospects at the Senior Bowl may have been a decisive factor in shaping some of the team's targets. In the coming months, free agency moves will help define a clearer direction for the draft. The Vikings will need to balance their decisions to remain competitive in the NFC North. The offseason will be crucial in ensuring the team continues to evolve and competes for the playoffs. Fans are now eagerly awaiting the team's next moves to understand the final draft strategy. Beyond the Senior Bowl, the Vikings will also have the opportunity to evaluate talent at the NFL Combine, another key event in the scouting process. The Combine will allow the Vikings to analyze physical metrics, technical skills, and conduct interviews with players to assess their mental and behavioral profiles. This detailed analysis can help the team refine its draft priorities, especially in the early rounds. Meanwhile, rumors about trades and free agency moves are starting to gain momentum, which could directly impact the franchise's strategy. One of the biggest question marks is Kirk Cousins' situation, as his contract and potential departure could completely reshape the team's plans. If the Vikings decide to move on from Cousins, they must determine whether to invest heavily in the draft or seek a temporary solution in the market. This year's quarterback class has strong prospects at the top, but moving up to select one of the best would require an aggressive approach from the team. If they opt for a QB in the early rounds, the Vikings would need to balance that pick with defensive reinforcements in the later rounds. However, if they decide to retain Cousins or sign a veteran in free agency, they may concentrate their efforts on strengthening the defense. Many analysts believe the initial focus will be on the defense, as head coach Kevin O'Connell and GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah understand the importance of fortifying that unit. The Vikings' defense had ups and downs in 2023, and losing players in the secondary could worsen the situation even further. Defensive coordinator Brian Flores will play a crucial role in identifying players who fit his system. Flores prefers an aggressive defense that pressures the quarterback and forces turnovers, which could influence the team's selections. If the Vikings target a cornerback, names like Quinyon Mitchell, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Nate Wiggins could be on their radar. For defensive line reinforcements, players like Jijon Newton and Byron Murphy II are some of the projected options for the team. The final decision will depend on a combination of available talent and the team's most urgent needs at the time of the draft. Another interesting point is the possibility of the Vikings investing in a wide receiver to complement Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. KJ Osborne could leave in free agency, and the team may want to add more depth to the position. Additionally, the offensive line still needs reinforcements, especially on the interior, where quarterback protection has been inconsistent. Regardless of their approach, the Vikings must make strategic selections to maximize the roster's potential. The competitiveness of the NFC North also plays a role in the team's decisions, as the Lions, Packers, and Bears are in different stages of development. With the Lions emerging as a powerhouse in the division and the Packers showing growth with Jordan Love, the Vikings need to remain competitive. To do so, they must have a strong draft and make smart moves in free agency to avoid falling behind. The offseason is a critical period in shaping the franchise's future for the coming years. The expectation is that the next few weeks will provide more clarity on the direction the Vikings will take. Fans eagerly await to see how the team will navigate so much uncertainty and which players will wear purple and gold in 2024. The draft will be a major test for Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, who must prove he can build a winning roster. The decisions made now will have a direct impact on the franchise's success in the coming seasons. With increasing pressure, the Vikings must get both their free agency moves and draft selections right. The franchise's future is being shaped now, and every decision will be crucial for the team's path toward the playoffs and beyond.